Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a fascinating 15th century spiritual revival in Bengal. At its heart were two incredible figures, one whose prayers were so powerful they literally brought God to earth, and another whose quiet devotion became the very soul of the entire movement.
So let's just jump right in with a massive question, one that mystics and philosophers have been wrestling with for, well, forever. Is it even possible? And if it is, what would you have to do?
But for the people we're talking about today, this wasn't some abstract thought experiment. No, for them, it was a mission. This explainer is all about that incredible prayer, the spiritual revolution it sparked, and the two very different personalities at the center of it all. Now, to really get a handle on these two individuals, you first have to meet their crew, their spiritual dream team, a group known as the Pancha Tattva. You can think of the Pancha Tattva as the inner circle, the absolute core of this whole movement. They were all about revitalizing the path of bhakti, which, is all about pure, loving, devotional service to God. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the main guy. And today, we're zooming in on two of his closest companions from this group. All right, let's start with our first major player, the senior statesman of the group, the guy whose actions really kicked everything off, Advaita Acharya. I mean, just look at this timeline. Advaita Acharya was the respected elder here, no question. He was born a full 50 years before Chaitanya. And get this, he lived to be an incredible 125 years old. Think about the wisdom and guidance he could offer over that kind of lifespan.
So who was this guy? Well, he was a giant in every sense of the word, a brilliant scholar, a spiritual leader, and he was considered a combined incarnation of two major deities, Vishnu and Shiva. But the thing that really drove him, what kept him up at night, was this deep sadness he felt watching the world turn its back on spirituality for, just stuff. He was absolutely convinced that things had gotten so bad, only a massive, direct, divine intervention could fix it.
Okay, so this is it. This is the main event, his big move. He sees the world going down the tubes spiritually, and he decides he's going to do something that sounds, frankly, impossible. He's going to call God down to earth. And he doesn't just wish for it. For 13 straight months, he performs this incredibly intense worship, using a sacred shaligram stone, offering holy tulsi leaves, water from the Ganges, the whole 9 yards. And the story goes that his cries, his prayers, were so powerful, so full of pure devotion, that they literally pierced through all the layers of the universe and reached Krishna directly. And it worked. According to the tradition, his prayer was answered. He's seen as the one who made it happen, the one whose spiritual force induced the Lord to appear as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and save the world. Okay, so that's the powerful instigator. Now let's completely switch gears and talk about someone totally different, but just as important, Gadadhara Pandita. He was the absolute heart of the movement, Chaitanya's closest friend. Right, so if Advaita was this cosmic powerhouse shaking the heavens, Gadadhara was the quiet, steady soul. He was Chaitanya's best friend from childhood. They were inseparable, but they were total opposites. While Chaitanya was super dynamic and outgoing, Gadadhara was peaceful, serious, a guy who loved his solitude. His whole spiritual path wasn't about some grand public mission. It was all about that deep personal connection. And theologically, this is fascinating. He was seen as the incarnation of the divine feminine energy of Radha. And this quote, wow, it just says it all, doesn't it? Chaitanya was actually known as Gadadhara Prananatha, which means the life and soul of Gadadhara Pandita. I mean, can you imagine a closer bond? One was literally seen as the life force of the other. So you see, his service, his devotion, wasn't about making big cosmic waves. It was in the small, intimate, everyday things. He'd be the one making flower garlands, preparing sandalwood paste for Chaitanya, or just quietly reading from the scriptures to him. He was that constant, grounding, supportive friend, proving that you don't have to be loud to be powerful. Greatness can be found in that kind of quiet, unwavering dedication. And there's this one incredible story that just perfectly captures who he was. Later in his life, Gadadhara was old and frail, just heartbroken from being separated from Chaitanya. He could no longer reach up to put a garland on his deity. So what happens? The legend says the stone statue of the deity, Tota Gopinath, miraculously sat down, just so his devoted servant could reach him. To this day, it's the only sitting deity of Krishna in the world. Just incredible. So, okay, we've got these two totally different people, right? Two completely different approaches to devotion. Let's look at how their very different roles came together to fuel this massive spiritual revolution.
And this really just lays it all out perfectly, doesn't it? On one hand, you have Advaita Acharya, the instigator, the powerful senior leader who literally calls God down to earth. And on the other, you have Gadadhara Pandita, the soul, the quiet, devoted childhood friend whose love was the emotional center of it all. One worked on this grand cosmic scale, the other on a deeply personal one. It just goes to show there's more than one way to make a profound impact.
And here's the really important takeaway. Their influence isn't just something we read about in history books. No way. It's a living, breathing tradition. The spiritual lineages they kicked off, they're called parivaras, are still active today. The actual deities they worshipped, they're still major centers of pilgrimage. Their stories, their lives, fundamentally shaped the entire theology and practice of Gaudiya Vaishnavism as we know it.
And all of this really leaves us with a big question to chew on, doesn't it? The story of Advaita Acharya and Gadadhara Pandita asks us to think about what true impact really looks like. What has a greater effect? Is it the single world-changing act that shakes the cosmos? Or is it a lifetime of quiet, unwavering service? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.